1.
We're here with Kayla Adamek. Now, I want to make sure, did I pronounce that right? Adamek?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes?
close enough.
Okay, perfect. Now, before we get going, we're going to have a little contest between Jay and Steve. Now, we're going to guess. Steve is going to guess what Adamek, what nationality that is, what the background is for that last name. Steve, you have 3 seconds.
I should know this. Czech.
Okay,
Hold on,
Jay,
don't answer. Czech. I agree. It's
you
Czech.
both say Czech? I'm going to go with
Or
Slovakian.
Slovakian.
Oh.
Okay, what is it?
It's Polish.
Oh, I was actually gonna see that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
That's,
you're close.
I cheated too. Like I even looked online the background of the last name, and Polish was there, but Slovakian was above it. So I had a 50-50 shot. So anyway, we're here with Kayla Adamek. She's a professional soccer player, plays for Tenerifé in Spain. The key thing is that Tenerife or Tenerifé. That's another thing. I think, who do we talk to? Listro. Yeah, she said it was Tenerifé. So anyway, she's here joining us. She's from Ottawa, so this is a local connection, which is awesome. So I'm going to start off and kind of hit something, a mildly important subject right away. So you play for Tenerifé. Do you use the same training facilities and play in the same stadium as the men's Tenerifé team?
We do not. So I'm actually in Granadilla, so it's the south side of the island. So we have our own facilities, but we do use the men's facility sometimes because the airport is in the north. So whenever we're training before flying, we'll train there.
Okay. I asked because I got a question actually from a listener who asked me, like Man United recently, the Man United women's team recently played at Old Trafford, and it was like this big build-up. Their women's team are playing at Old Trafford, and Tottenham played, the women's Spurs team played in the men's stadium on an international break for the men, so they got to play, and it was built up for this big deal. So the listener emailed me, and it got me thinking, why is that not a regular thing? Why aren't you, the women training in the best facilities and playing in the best team? Because it's no more the men's than the women's. They're both part of the club. So it got me thinking, is that something, again, at Tenerife, is that something that's ever been brought up, or is that or do you have your own facility that you're with for good?
I've actually heard rumors about, us actually moving over to the north side, but I'm not sure. I mean, you see like with other clubs on the female side of La Liga, like they have like world-class facilities on their own, just like beside the men's. So, I mean, hopefully Tenerife will have that too soon.
Yeah, because I don't know if Steve saw it. You must have seen it, Steve. The NCAA gyms, the women's gym versus the men's gym. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I'm wondering, are the facilities for the women equal to the men? And I don't see. I mean, they're huge.
I think facilities-wise, I don't see why facilities-wise they're not at the same place. Like as far as training and all the rest of it. We had Janine Becky on a while ago, Kayla, and then she was saying how they train in the exact same thing. I don't know, like we'll probably watch the documentary on Man City. They have that like cryo freezing chamber and all that stuff they go into, and it was like, wow, like there's no reason that they shouldn't be for that. Like the two teams, I guess. For when it comes to the stadium, though, like I would say it's almost like growing the game. To me, it would be in that case less about like men or women, but like when MLS started and they would play in like Pontiac Silverdome and get 20,000 fans in an 80,000 seat stadium, and it just doesn't look right, like, so if they drew 20,000 in a Tottenham stadium or Old Trafford, which is an amazing crowd, it's still going to look a little off. So I would say until the crowds get bigger, maybe the stadium thing makes a bit more sense. You have that closer to the pitch feel, but facilities wise, there should be no reason.
Yeah. And I might have got the teams wrong, but I think it was like Barca and I don't know, in like our Copa de la Reina final, I believe they like sold out like a men's stadium. So like, it's like it's getting there. You just gotta like give us more of an opportunity,
100%.
Yeah, no, for sure. So facilities. Central Florida. I'm sure those facilities are amazing. That's where you went for your university career. And I asked this to everybody who had, a warm weather school. Did you choose warm weather schools first? Did you throw out, what's the one I always use? Did you throw out University of Maine letter right away? Like, are you looking at warm weather?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely in the back of my mind.
Finally, the
There you
first
go, Mark.
person to admit
You've got a
they
soulmate.
did the Mark LaPointe recruiting in the U shape. We're going, and then we're coming up. I love it.
But
Yeah.
like, I want to add on to that. Like, sorry, Caleb, but like when we had Dwayne Rollins on here, and we're like, Steve always brings up the point where why don't more women play in North American leagues? And I was like, I would take a hit on my pay to play in Tenerife than I would play for like in Edmonton. You would have to just kidnap me to go to Edmonton, and you know what I mean, like, and my whole family, because I would never want to live there ever. Like, you couldn't pay me enough to live there, but to live in Tenerife, I would take a 40,000 hit for sure, because I mean, it's Tenerife. You're in Spain.
First, we're going to say bye to our Edmonton listeners real quick. Thanks for sticking around for the first couple shows. But
that's just known. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So from Ottawa, how did you get hooked up with Central Florida?
I actually just was sending out emails. Like, at the time, I was like going through like and it was called the NTC. I believe it's called Rex now in Toronto. So I was doing those drives back and forth every weekend. And I just messaged Amanda Cromwell, who's now the UCLA coach. She actually recruited me there. So she just saw a highlight video and she said, come down for a weekend. And then like, that was it. So.
Wow. Just one visit there and you're like, come on, sign me up to this weather.
You must have had other schools though sniffing around and stuff. Like what set them apart? Was it had to be more than Mark's weather?
Yeah, there is Memphis, you know, they like their Canadians.
Yes, they do.
The other one was Hawaii, actually.
No, that's the one you always bring up, Mark.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And were you like, I'm sure they're not a big power school or anything, but you must have given it at least half a thought. Then like, Hawaii? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go to the best soccer school, which, you know, UCF was like a top 20 team at the time, so it was a no-brainer.
Yeah. And you were a all rookie team your first year there. That's pretty crazy. Like, what did you find was from where you were playing in Ottawa, was it like the level jump, like, was it insane going into there? Or did you feel like, you were suitably prepared from your youth career here?
I think with NTC, I was fairly prepared, but I do think like the NCAA was a lot more quicker than I was used to at the start. Like, I remember it took me a couple weeks, just to get my head right, and a lot more physical as well.
Yeah. That's what we hear a lot, that it's very physical. It's not so much technical like you're in right now, but it's super physical. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So you had a great career in university. It's very parallel to Listro, where when I was doing my research here, you went undrafted from school. Now, did you know, like, do people know? I'm going to back up. Drafts. Do you know anything, or do you just turn on the TV or computer like all of us and be like, choose me, please, somebody? Or do you hear from coaches? Is there interest, or how does that work?
I think if you have an agent, like, you'll probably hear if they're talking about it, but at the time I didn't have an agent, so I was just kind of hoping. But unfortunately, as a Canadian, if you're not like on the national team, it's really hard to get picked up in a draft.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I get. But you ended up, I mean, your school's in Orlando.
Yeah.
And Orlando, I guess you kind of ended up there at preseason. Did they extend like a preseason invite to you, or did you contact them and say, listen, like, what the hell, I'm right here?
Yeah, well, the last 2 years of my career at UCF, I spent the summers actually with Orlando Pride. So they're already pretty familiar with me. And then again, like, I came into their preseason roster when I was done with college, and just hoping for an international spot to open up there. But unfortunately, it never did.
Yeah, that's where Steve. I know Steve always talks about this, and I'll kind of give him the platform to go. But it's like the NWSL not being in Canada is such a ridiculous thing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we have the three massive clubs up here that could easily have the two, and I'll chuck it to Steve. Like, I mean, if you want to ask Kayla, or if you want to answer yourself, like, do we need those three big clubs to have an NWSL team? Or Kayla or Steve, would you rather have like a CPL of our own league?
I'd love to have a CPL, like ideally. I'm not sure we're ready yet. I think the 3 MLS clubs is the first step, in my opinion. It'd be great if all three had a program. I was watching One Soccer the other day, which has all the Canada games, and I guess they had the president on, and he pretty much announced that we're going to get an NWSL team. He said he's got some close partnership with someone. So that was like really positive. And for him to say it now on air, it's kind of like, if you don't come through, like, it's kind of like a Donald Trump president promise or something. Like, so hopefully that's promising. To get one would be massive, because your point earlier, Kayla, about getting drafted and whatnot, like with the roster spots that there are, and with the fact that the national team players get their money comped by the Canadian Federation, it makes it tough for a free agent to kind of latch on unless you're already in that kind of position. So I think it's great. That was an awesome announcement the other day. So
yeah. So Kayla, when you see like these three big clubs in Canada that don't have an NWSL team, and then you see the CPL pop up for the men, what do you think? Like, what are you thinking in terms of like, where do I go next? Because I look here and it's madness to me that you have to go to, I mean, I'm not going to put any countries down, but you're going from Canada, who's 8th ranked in the world, to Serbia, who's 40th ranked in the world, where someone like Vanessa Gilles went to Cyprus, who's 113th in the world in women. We're leaving an 8th ranked nation to go to 40 ranked nations to play soccer. How did you end up in Serbia?
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of came to a point at Orlando where like I needed to get some games in, and like a short-term kind of thing popped up with Serbia to play in Champions League, because they had already qualified. Yeah. So that was like the main thing for me, just to head to Europe and kind of get noticed, in an event like Champions League when people are really watching. Yeah. So, and it ended up working out, and like it was actually like it was 5 months, but it was like really helpful for my career.
So like I need to get this, like I need my ducks in a row. How does Serbia come, like what, like is there like a Serbian guy that's just like watching the end of, like, or did you have an agent at that point that knows people? Like, how did Serbia pop up from this?
Yeah, it was through my agent at the time.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like that's the way to go. Like you mentioned, like a short-term deal in like a Cyprus or a Serbia, you go there and you show your quality. Like you had, I think it was like 5 goals in 5 games or something. You had like a lot of goals, and even Vanessa Gilles had like 308 goals in like 2 games in Cyprus. It was crazy. And then you're in the shop window, and now you're at a pretty awesome club.
But that's what we're talking about with Dwayne Rollins, and he's an expert on this, Kayla, if you don't know him, and he's on Twitter, and he was saying like it's set up in Europe for this, for the games that look like Champions League. It's not set up here, and I know that's what we want, but that's why I would want to see the world. And this is just me talking here, but personally, I would want to travel to Europe. I don't want to go to like, Aurora.
Edmonton, stupid Edmonton.
or like Winnipeg. No thanks. Like I want to go to Serbia. I want to go to, Croatia. Then I want to go to Cyprus, and I want to go to Italy. And I don't want to go to these Canadian cities to play and travel this crazy amount. I want to be able to, I think, playing in Europe is fantastic for your life as a person.
How many Champions League games did you get in when you were in your Serbian club?
I think it was just the 5.
So 5 Champions League games. Wow.
So we played 3 for the round. Oh, I don't even know how many. round of 32. I think we had 3 games
Yeah.
in Slovakia, and we won all those games. So we went on to the next round, whatever it was, and that's when we played Atletico.
Wow.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we lost 2-1 the first one, then we tied them 1-1, and that's where I got recruited into
Tenerife.
the Spanish league. Yeah.
What was the comparison between like Orlando and Atletico Madrid at the time, or even still, I guess?
Orlando's definitely more physical and athletic, but Atletico is just like unreal, like their technical ability, you know. So it was like very, very different types of soccer.
Yeah.
Does, for someone like you or other national team members or like Canadian players, because we just found out today, I think that Listro, I can never
Jordan
was traded.
Yeah.
Now, does the NWSL, like, is that a huge negative selling point for someone like yourself, where you could be in KC one day and then St. Louis, or I don't know where you're going, Edmonton. For Jay. Yeah, exactly. But like, you have no control over your life and like future. I find that's very strange in the soccer world. So like, is that something you would be like hesitant to come to the NWSL if you were recruited there and be like, I'll stay in Europe and kind of choose where I want to live?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about like the contracts in the NWSL, but I know that like they can do like short-term gigs, you know, and you can be traded at any point, where in Europe it's like, you know, you have like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and like you're set there, you know, like they can't trade you or anything like that. So it's definitely a lot more stable, I think.
Yeah, that's, I just find that so, I mean, we see it in hockey and basketball and this all the time, but it's like, it's just, I find it's still such a very North American thing. That's I mean, that's why I guess built in their contracts now, Steve would know too. It's like the no movement clauses like everywhere. I mean, it's madness, especially people with families and stuff. Anyway, I'm going off on like a weird tangent, but let's even rewind further back to this beautiful city. You played here for the Ottawa Fury.
Yeah.
Did you, just to get like context, did you play for the W League, and how many years did you play here?
The W League, I think it was 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
But yeah, I started with the Hotspurs and then moved to Gloucester and then ended with the Fury.
Okay, so 2 years with the W. Who was the coach then when you were there?
It was Dom.
Yeah. Oh, Dom was there both years. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to ask this question. Did you feel, and because the three of us did the men's program, right? So the PDL Fury. So we kind of, and maybe Steve can talk about this because he was a coach there, but as a player perspective, being a local player, did you feel any angst or like kind of stupid to the out of town players who seem to get so much, when the local players were like, yeah, come to training, we might get you a Gatorade, but all these out of town players are going back to their apartments, here's like a box of food, and this, like, was there any I don't want to use the word jealousy, that's why I'm trying to think of another word, but was there a divide in that?
I didn't really think about that too much. You know, like I was just still in high school, like begging my parents to take the car to drive training on my own, you know. Like that's all that I was really focused on. And, you know, I was really grateful that we had a program like that, bringing in, you know, all these international stars that, you know, are still like playing like in a really high level in national teams and whatnot. So it was really great to have that, like, especially in high school. But it's too bad that there's nothing like that anymore. So.
Yeah, that does suck. It'd be nice if Atletico revived that somehow, or even get into the youth thing a bit. That's a great question, Mark. Like, I'm gonna just jump in, Kayla. Like, your answer was so good, positive, and it's the right answer, to be honest, because you know all the locals here had the same thing on the PDL side. I'm gonna just call this player out, though. I know exactly why Mark was scared to ask that, because Will Boger would have asked for like every single cookie that Mark would have given an out-of-town player to make sure it was equal. So like that's exactly where it's coming from. I hope he's listening, because he would even he even made us put the accente goo on his name on his shirt because he wanted to make sure like everything was equal. So your answer better than Will's would have been. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever go down to those houses that the out of towners stayed in?
No, not really.
Oh,
Just
you
like when
never
we went
saw
on
those.
away trips.
Just to
Yeah.
pick them up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was this.
I went to the Timmy's beside the apartments there a couple
Oh
times.
yeah, yeah. You need like 4 security guards to go
Yeah.
in that. Terrifying. Yeah. So you're 26. You're playing 20 plus pro games, a season in Europe. Have you had any contact with the national team? Have they emailed you, or have they, sent you a telegram, or I don't know, anything whatsoever?
Yeah, they're scouting me.
Awesome.
It's been a dream of mine since I was like 10 years old. So, I'm on this journey to hopefully get there. But
Yeah. Well, I figure that's what I mean. It's like, what more does a human have to do to play in a top league in Europe, playing every week, to get a look by the national team. So hopefully that comes soon. But you've been in the U17s before, right? The national
yeah,
team?
yeah, I went to one camp, but I got hurt, so I had to leave after the first day. So, I'm just trying to get back to that and get a call in.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
a good segue, Mark, and not diving into it too much, Kayla, but there has been ups and downs with injuries in your career and your path. And I think Mark said it a couple times, and not to beat the dead horse, there is a lot of similarity between your story and Jordan's as far as, some of the ups and downs. And it's a big reason we wanted to have you on to, one, because you're local and from Ottawa, and hopefully there's a lot of girls here that are listening, and not just girls, but people to follow your story. But just to see how you've overcome those different things. So like, I don't know if you want to maybe speak to when you've had a few of those injuries and some of the ups and downs that it's caused. And, I guess I'll ask the question, like, did you ever consider packing it in at one point, or was it always just a very laser focus? Like, I want to keep playing as long as I can.
Yeah. It was definitely laser focused, and I think I got that from Mark Hearn. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I had him for my Region 5 coach for my first year. And, like I saw him like fight through, sorry, I get emotional about it. So like, he is just like the most amazing person because he was so passionate about the sport. And like, I saw him like fight cancer and show up at training, like, he wasn't feeling well and like he was still there. And like, it was just like the definition of resilience for me. And he, like, I remember being like 10 years old being like, wow, like I want to play for Canada. Like he like ingrained that in me, and he believed in me before I believed in myself. So, it's been like 10 plus years of me like trying to do this for him. But I'm getting off track here, but
No,
he
not
kind
at all. That's
of taught me like resilience. And, like whenever like I go through an injury or like a surgery or whatnot, like I've spent years, without the ball on my feet, getting through rehabs. And like I've had doctors tell me like I should quit, and, like they were all wrong because now I'm like healthier than ever. And like, so yeah, really goes back to him because whenever I like had any doubt, I was like, man, like he showed up every day, So
yeah,
I absolutely love that answer. Like Jay and Mark and I totally resonate the power of what a coach can be and can have on a player. Like, yeah, I know he passed away. We all know him, Jason and Mark and I as well. And I'm sure if he heard that story, or hopefully he did hear that story, like that would just mean the world to someone. Like that's an incredible.
Well, that's what, our job as coaches and players is to leave that next generation, the best of what we gave. And I'm glad you're telling your story now because, there may be a lot of young players in here, that have been injured, and it's lonely in that training room. I mean, we were joking before, but I mean, I've had my fair share as well. I mean, I had a heart scare and I had to sit out of my prime years from 23 to 29. I never even jogged for a second. And hearing you talk about yours will, get those kids laser focused, and maybe we'll have them on in 20 years saying, Kayla's chat here, inspired me to get through all my my stuff. So we appreciate that. Now,
what's the longest you've been out with one?
A year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Like, just think of it. It's been a year of COVID. Like, think how long that is. Like, just to train, and I'm gonna assume an extended period of that, maybe like 3, 4, 5 months, was without a ball, like you were saying.
Yeah.
That's agony. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough. And I'm going to stick on this kind of theme of resilience and being a great, leader and role model. And, you came out. And what I'd like to ask about that is coming, as we interviewed Tom Beattie. I don't know if if you listened to that or know about Tom's story, but for Tom to come out after his playing days, is it different coming out as a woman? Is it more accepting in the women's game than in the men's game, from your knowledge?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't imagine how hard it was for Tom. But I definitely think that I was not lucky, but it's definitely a lot easier, especially in college. Once you get to college, it's like almost like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. It's just strange to me that it's night and day. I mean, from the men's and women's game, I mean, it seems to be, it's so accepting and it's so different. And I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't understand why it's so different. And I don't know if
men are pricks, because men are
especially the ones from Edmonton.
Yeah,
I've heard.
Worst.
But
and it looks like this from Edmonton too.
Yeah, but have you ever experienced or heard anything in the women's game since you came out? Like, has there ever been any negativity, or is there more? Is there is it kind of talked about, but with your coaches or is it, what are we missing in the men's game that the women are doing so well in humanity?
Good point.
I mean, it kind of depends on, like, I guess the location as well, because like I have been to certain places where it's still not so accepting. But I do, like, I've harped on this before, but my coach at UCF, her name's Tiffany Roberts-Haydak, and she was like a 99 World Cup winner. Like, she was like 16 or something, like unreal career. And like, when I came down to Orlando, like I was still kind of like not super accepting of myself. I was like one of the only gay girls that I knew, like just growing up in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And, like I showed up at UCF and like, I realized like half the girls are just like me. And she like wanted to instill like a family environment and culture. And she was all about, like everyone's here for each other. And like, that's when I truly like felt accepted and was like totally 100% okay with myself. And it's kind of I'm going on a tangent now, but it's kind of something that no one should have I should have never had to gone through that, throughout high school and whatnot. But it should be like normal.
Yeah.
You ever, like, I guess, and you're from Ottawa and stuff, but did you feel in Ottawa that it was at one of those places where it was harder to be natural, or was that just a growth piece for you at that point?
Yeah, like I had like certain moments where like I kind of felt like it wasn't great for me, but I'm definitely thankful to have grown up in Canada, because being in certain places after like when I left Canada, I realized that it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Being in Orlando during that I think it was 2006 where the Pulse nightclub shooting happened. Were you in Orlando at that time?
Yeah, I was like 5 minutes from there.
Oh wow.
So.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I hate spinning a tragedy into something that can help, but something like that, the most horrible thing can hopefully bring and I hope in Orlando, and especially for someone like yourself, something like that can be a turning point, right? To be like almost more proud. It has the reverse effect for these idiots that do this and don't realize that this is something that's going to bring us together. And did you feel that in Orlando at all?
Yeah, it was like very scary for a few months after that. Like I was honestly like kind of like nervous, like just walking around in public and stuff like that, because like it's kind of traumatizing in that sense. But just to see like how the community in Orlando like came together and was so supportive. Even like when I was with Orlando Pride at the time, like, you know, they did so much for the community, and, you know, it was like a really good reaction, I guess.
Yeah, and from that, I did some research into, and now there's something, I don't know if you can talk about it or want to talk about it, but it's Athlete Ally. Is that, did I pronounce that right? Because I was saying Athlete Alley in my head for like 3 days, and then I'm like, it's not Alley. What's wrong with you?
You're an idiot.
So I was afraid that I was going to say
it's just one athlete, Allie. She's on her own and she has a blog. That's it.
Yeah. So can you talk to us about that? I mean, maybe some young girls or boys or whoever need to maybe reach out to this or read about this, because I read a lot of stuff. I followed them. It's a fantastic follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just a community, especially where athletes can tell their story and, you know, make others feel like they're not so alone in this. But also, especially recently with all the trans issues going on about not allowing them to play sports and whatnot, it's like especially important.
Yeah. So it's at Athlete Ally, ATHLETEALLYs, if you want to follow that. And it's not run by someone named Allie. I promise you that. Yeah. Okay. So what is your favorite Twitter account?
Gosh, I'm not really on Twitter that much, but
Instagram account. If you were told today you have to delete every follow you have except leave one, what are you keeping?
I don't know. Can I say my club?
All right, good answer. That's a good PC answer too, and we'll forward that to your club. Your favorite pregame meal?
Buddha bowl with like tofu, rice, you know, zucchini, mix it up.
Wow.
Okay, that's all right. Now, you're an Orlando person. Are you a roller coaster person? I want to ask you that too.
Yeah, until I get sick.
So you'll go until you get sick?
Yeah.
That's all right. I love that's a true like a roller coaster lover is just go until you barf. I love that. Scenario. Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario now, Kayla. Right. You're out for dinner, 4 friends. You 4, you're having a great time. You're laughing. You know, there's a funny person there that's making the night great. The check comes. It's 1 check. Now, do you think it's appropriate to just divide that check in 4 because there's 4 of you? Or do you say, I only had these mozzarella sticks, so I'm only whipping in like $4? Are you dividing it in 4, or are you just paying for your specific meal?
Great
question. Your specific meal.
Wow. Oh, I like the honesty, because a PC person would have just said, let's just do it in 4, but you don't believe it. And I love that you stuck to that.
Can I add to this? Because I think I totally agree with you, especially if you're like on your own. But it's like if you're an adult and you invite someone, I think it adds a little bit of complexity to it. I don't think you have to pay. You have to. But if you invite someone out, like Kayla, if you invited someone out on your team and then you didn't pay for them, I would question you and I would delete your Instagram.
I would delete your Instagram account.
Yeah, no, but I just,
if you invited them, you know,
it's true. But what if it's 4 friends? It's different.
Yes.
Like if it's just 4 friends going out, or it's like 4 teammates after a game, that's different. But you're right. If it's like 4 like people you've invited, that's a total different scenario.
But what if Jay invites me to a dinner and I have like 14 beers and like the lobster tail and all? Are you stopping me?
I invited you. No, I invited you. I invited you.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. I don't drink, but I'm gonna drink so much that night.
But wouldn't you feel a little bit guilty after? You'd feel sick to your stomach.
Okay.
I know you.
Scenario number 2, Kayla. I'm gonna give you one more scenario here.
He's 8 years old, by the way.
Is it okay for a grown adult to go to Disneyland on their own?
Such a good question.
Why not?
Hey,
Yeah, why
okay.
not, Mark?
I mean, I'd go.
On your
I
own.
love it.
No, you're lying. I don't believe that. On your own. Like,
I
Kayla, where
would
you going?
too.
You don't
Kayla,
have to
wait.
go in like the
Kayla.
stupid lines that you don't want to go on. So you just do your
Okay,
thing.
that's fair. Kayla, where are you going? I gotta go. Where are you going? I'm going to Disneyland by myself. Bye. You don't, wouldn't you like, can I come? No.
Yeah,
You-
no,
like,
I love it. I like
on
it.
your own. I would never, ever.
like
I gotta
the
say,
concept.
I'm with her. Like maybe because I went with my kids and that, but I thought to myself while there, I'm like, I'd do this on my own. Like I would come back and like. To
I
be
think
honest,
I'd want to.
And then you're beside someone that doesn't even know you. It's like-
yeah, I'd probably be beside Kayla on her third ride before she's about to throw up. I gotta pick the wrong one.
Wait, so you get that picture on the roller coaster with you and some stranger in a frame. But I'm thinking to myself too, like, because I went on a Disney cruise with my kids, and there's a lot of people that go on these Disney cruises as adult couples and
Okay.
things like that. I saw a guy in a line to shake Donald Duck's hand by
No.
himself. He was like
No.
40, and I was like, this is way too much right now. And I'm just thinking, when I created that scenario, I was just picturing some man like with Mickey ears on, just like in a cotton candy. I'm like, this is not right. It's not
Yeah.
right at all. But
There's
you know what,
definitely
Kayla?
mental health.
You-
There's mental health involved.
Yeah, Kayla, you got me now. I think it is completely acceptable, especially if you love rides and
Why not?
you know, I like it. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
hit
just
you with
pop in
the.
the single line there, so you're not waiting for hours too.
Oh, there's a single line too. Oh, this
Yeah.
is now it's 100%.
Okay, no, hey, I know I don't want to beat this, but
are.
would you rather go? You'd rather go with someone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would just make us both go in the single line.
Individually.
Kayla, we're learning so
This-
much from you all. This is
Yeah.
fantastic. I love this. Now, your mom played basketball and your dad played tennis. Which one are you better at?
Oh,
Tennis.
wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
Can you
both.
beat
I'm
your
so
dad at
bad at
tennis?
basketball.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, if I gave you a watermelon, full watermelon, can you cut it up into perfect triangles and have like a good setup?
No. I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah.
It's harder than it looks. I've tried. It's not easy. Can you, Steve, Jay, can you guys do a
Oh,
good
yeah.
triangle
Try in a
presentation?
triangle. Like I just slice it like this.
Yeah, like I would do steering wheels.
Right.
That's all. I'm just circles. But
Yeah.
But
No,
no, then you just make one more cut. You cut it in half and then quarters.
There's the big dog coming out. He's got it all. He's got a like watermelon cutter that he just hits once. It just does it
yeah,
for
and
him.
it just falls
Just
beautifully.
falls perfectly.
All right. Yeah. So that's our dumb question segment out of the way for you. But before you go, Kayla, I want to thank you for coming on. And again, like, you know, jokes aside that we were just talking about, like your story is such a Canadian story. It's such an Ottawa story where it's like nothing. And again, the mentality of the professional athletes that we've interviewed is just so immensely strong to be able to go through what, you know, you're doing and where you're at right now. Like you're 26 playing professional soccer in Europe. Like that's insanity. If you really say it, have you said that out loud and kind of pinched yourself before? Like, is this not crazy?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I kind of have a moment where I like look back on it. I'm like, wow, like that happened, you know.
Yeah. Is your
There's
goal?
still one more goal.
That's right. One more goal, and hopefully this podcast will get you there. Come on, Bev, get on your,
Seriously, Bev, get her into a camp. You're playing at such a high level consistently and starting games. Like it's got to just be a matter of time, just at least get the shot at it. Like that's all you want at the end of the day is just a crack. I don't want to say I can't see it not happening because like we talked to someone like Eddie Edward. I don't know if you know him, but he had played forever in Edmonton too, Jason. And I was surprised he never got invited into a camp. But keep doing what you're doing at Tenerifé. It's such a good standard, a good league, and you're on a really top team. So I hope you get that final wish. And I have the utmost respect for everything you've gone through up to this point in your career and what you've already achieved, which is unbelievable. And I always say, like I've said it to a couple like that have been on here, I have a neighbor and my daughter who are like, they both like soccer, and the one neighbor is just big time into it, and she actually listens to this podcast, and she's gonna just love listening to your story. So thanks for that.
Sweet. Thanks for having me,
No
and
problem.
thanks for all that you guys do for the Ottawa community. It's like big time, you know, and it's something that no one's done before. So it's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
We are pretty special. I'm just
and humble.
But yeah, exactly. No, we appreciate it. And
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, bookmark Tenerifé women, follow them, follow Kayla's career, and let's get you back on your first. Can you come on when you get called into camp, Canada camp? Can you come back and show us like the email, or like come on and make this big announcement through us? No, I'm asking too much, but just come back on whenever you want, because we'd love to have you back.
For sure. I'd love
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do that for sure. Awesome. Thanks, Kayla.
Thanks.
it. Thank you.
See you later.
Likely.
Well, folks, that was Kayla Adamek. Now, let's talk about something relatively not serious. No, I'm going to switch it right now. You know what? Let's do that, Jay.
Great switch.
Jay,
I saw your. Okay, go. Love this.
I didn't like my not serious. I feel like let's talk about. We've all been in the treatment room from an injury before.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to beat this injury situation to death, because I'm going to transition from the injury to like a mental health.
Sure.
Mental health in sport. The Man City player months ago, 17 years old, got released from the youth team.
Yeah.
And he committed suicide. Now I'll throw this to Steve, since he's coached at that, the PDL level, that age of player. And we've seen people like Alexi Prati and guys like that have been playing soccer and in the system for years and years and years. Do big clubs need to have like a better transition system or a schooling system for these kids? Because I have a feeling they're not really schooled. They don't really go to school. They're just kind of bare minimum with that stuff, and soccer. Then it's like 17. Okay, thanks. We don't want you anymore. Like, imagine your son. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do we need to do to better that?
I hate that you're asking me first, because you were like, J, and then you're like, but I'm going to ask Steve. Like, I was totally waiting for him to take the reins on this. So I'm killing time. I think maybe it's not quite as bad as you're making it out to be. I don't think it's quite as bad with the schooling aspect in these academies. I'm not going to say all of them. I'm not going to say there's not a academy in Slovakia, 3rd division, that's terrible and does that, for sure. I think for the most part, these academies are at a different stage as far as prepping them for real life, with actual going to a school and getting a degree that means something so they could go to a university. I do think that is a big, massive turning point in your life. And I think when all your focus, energy, and your entire life at that point, like, we're in our 40s now, we've come from a whole other aspect of our lives and going through this. But even if you think about like when your university career is over, or your college career is over, I had a friend who like quite literally spent 2 weeks on my couch playing video games, didn't go to school, didn't go back to his house because he couldn't get over the fact that we were out and his career had now ended. Like, he actually lay on the couch, and in hindsight, as much as I've joked about this for 30 years, he was probably depressed, and I probably needed to be a better friend. Instead, I used him to create a FIFA League game and create spreadsheets of standings of our results, which is like the most selfish thing ever, but it worked out for me while I went to school. But so, that's just one example, like a terrible example, but someone coming from Man City, I think you need to have like, I don't know if it's not an exit strategy necessarily, or a better exit strategy, but I think it's a support for when that person exits. I think if you've given them the schooling and all that, I think you maybe need to know, or you kind of have to know a little bit, like, that person might take this a little worse than someone else, like
Jay. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I'm going to throw it to Jay. Do they need to staff like mandatory staff psychologists or things like that in these schools, or make, I don't know, for example, if your son was in there, would you want him playing soccer and also maybe learning a trade at the same time? Like, I just feel like it's way too soccer specific. And so, I mean, because
I think at the top,
what's the percentage that make it?
I think at the top level with the money that they bring in, I think it would be reckless for them to say that they couldn't afford it. And I think it would be, I think if it saved one life, not to sound cheesy, but if it saved one life, it's
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah, and I also think it's part of the responsibility has to be on the player and the parents and the family. Like you have to raise your kid saying, hey, like there's more, even though it hurts me to say this, I'm stopping myself. There's more to life than playing or coaching. There is more to life. Like getting an education has will obviously enrich their life, right? And I think, someone just said it. Sturridge just posted something on Twitter like 2 hours ago saying the exact same thing. I'm not sure why, but I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, I definitely think they could do better. I don't think it's all on them. I do think it's 50% of the family too, and the player that needs to like say, hey, what's the exit strategy? Like, who am I to say I'm going to get picked and that's it? Like, you can't put all your eggs in a basket, right?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I just, it's hard to put ourselves in that position because we don't have this, these academy kids are in there from like 6 years old, it's like,
Yeah.
that's all they're taught. It's crazy. So, I mean, yeah, we'll go from there to big club academy to big club. Now, this was a point of contention, and I'll throw it to Steve first, but Rangers won the Scottish League. Whatever, champions all over the place in Europe. There's this new fad, and teams are doing it, of this guard of honor. When a team wins the title, the next game they play, the other team forms this little guard of honor and they clap them through and stuff like that. What do you believe in that? Is that do you think that's classy, or is that like, if you were the coach, would you be like, no? And I bring this up because Celtic, Rangers won the title right before they played Celtic, and Celtic said they're not doing a guard of honor. Normally, I'd be pissed, but you know what? I wouldn't do it either.
I think I like the guard of honor. I like them doing it after they've won it as a sign of respect. I think the next team should do it. I think Celtic should have done it. But I sat through watching Liverpool last year get like 15 guards of honor, and it was absolute farce. Like, it was way too much, way over the top. It was so stupid. It's like the 11th guard of honor against Aston Villa, the second last game of the season. Come on, man. Like, that's way too much. Like, they're showing respect, and then there's just being like beating a dead horse. I like the tradition of it though. Like, I like, you've just clinched it, and the other team saying, look, this is like a 36 game season. You have to grind through this stuff. Guard of honor. Like, that's cool. But like, it was totally killed last year with Liverpool. And I'm a Liverpool fan, and I was like, come on, enough of the guard of honor. Like, I was upset about it.
Not gonna lie, completely shocked, because the way I've known you as a coach, you're telling me you'd guard of honor Portland or Cape Cod when we were playing in there. You'd guard of honor them if they won the PDL and we were playing them.
It's the PDL. No one cares. But if it's the Premier League and I was like West Brom's coach, and I'd do it for sure. It's a totally different thing.
Jay, would you do it?
I'm with Steve on it. Yeah, I would do it.
Dick? I think I'm
not
a dick.
In PDL. In PDL, yeah, it would be kind of Mickey Mouse. First of all, we don't play enough games, but
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think. Why do I remember the Man City player not doing the guard of honor, not clapping? Why were there more than one guard of honor?
Well, there shouldn't be more than Steve one. Was saying it.
Yeah. Why do I do remember the Villa one, but why do I remember Man City? And it was
because you hate them.
The short guy from Portugal,
Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, he didn't do anything, and like fans were going mental. Anyway, yeah. I don't know why you don't like it, Mark. I
just think I don't know. I just think you're the champion. That's fine, but like I don't know. I you know what? Maybe I haven't really thought it through. I'm just thinking of like.
So all those years United won it, you were like, oh, I hate this guard of honor they're doing for them.
They never gave it back then. It was like maybe towards the end they did, but it's a new thing. I remember
Arsenal doing it for them.
Yeah, like I can't picture Roy Keane ever clapping someone through. Like it just
didn't have to. He won every league.
Yeah, I was just gonna. He usually won.
He won every league championship.
Yeah, and so I'll stick on that guard on the club, the big club thing. Scott Brown, Rangers, Celtic, and we've talked about them a billion times. And Scott Brown's like the most hated human being from the Rangers perspective. But what he did for Glenn Kamara and that racism thing, to me, that just showed that like what your Uncle Kenny said, what everyone said, all this perception of Rangers Celtic, they hate, they'll kill each other, they don't care about anybody. Scott Brown, to me, went from like a villain of my hate to somebody that's that just showed what Uncle Kenny said is legitimately true, no matter what kind of person out here thinks that soccer is bigger than anything.
The people
explain what he
who
did though for the people who don't know.
oh yeah,
Yeah, Scott Brown walked over during the warm-up when Celtic Rangers were playing, walked through the Rangers warm-up and gave Glenn Kamara essentially a high five and a hug, and showing him that he's with him because Kamara was racially abused. And that to me was like the gesture of all gestures. Between those two clubs.
It's pretty powerful. It shows he's a human, and like good for him for showing it in that forum and using his platform for sure. And you see Gareth Bale elbowed him in the face.
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
the best. Yeah.
That's pretty good. And it's pretty on purpose. Like that was good.
But like all the people who don't like players from other clubs, like really like in their heart don't like them, they're absolute losers. Absolutely biggest losers on earth. And they don't understand like
Life.
football. Like they're just those super fans are super losers. You know what I mean? Like they're just like they never played in their life. They're overweight. They're ugly. They just
They're from
I can't deal with it. You know what I mean? Like those people, those are the worst ones, and those are the ones who start brawls and fights and all that. Those have no place in football.
Yeah, like I hated Gary Neville as a player mostly because he always beat Liverpool. Like
yeah,
at the end of the day, I like as soon as I started hearing him on BBC, I was like, it's hard not to like him. I love his analysis. I love it. Like, I love his soccer box and stuff like that. You know, like I want to watch it.
We met Giggs at that pub. He was like the nicest guy ever, and like he was talking to everyone, including Alex Zalewski, a super Man United fan, for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
In the toilet.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. I have a lot of respect for that, and I think it's a great question mark. It's a good point to bring up. I think well done for Scott Brown, and I hope all Rangers fans see that. You know,
they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, and it's exactly what you said, Jay. To that point, it's like I can hate McManaman or I can hate Jamie Carragher and all these guys. Like I do. I hate them when they're on the field, but I don't want bad things to you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Like relax. I want them to lose, and this is nice for me to see Scott Brown do that, not because of Rangers Celtic, just because it to me is like it was a nice reminder that there's human shit that's a billion times more important than Rangers Celtic or any soccer thing in the world. But flipping to important now, coaching in Brazil. There's now been a rule instated. I don't know if you guys heard. You're only the firing of coaches is just mental in the world right now. They've made a rule in Brazil where you can only fire one coach a season. Are you watching a league or caring about a league that has to put in a rule like that? Are you even applying for a job there?
The problem is so much bigger. Like now that I've read a book about Brazil in the last week, I'm an expert on Brazilian soccer. And so I can speak to this very intelligently. The Brazilian league is so bankrupt, so corrupt. It's such a shame because you think of Brazil and it like personifies soccer and all the rest of it. And that's the book I read. It's the one Stephen Hart recommended about finding the Brazilian team from 1970. Like fascinating. So you've got this pillar of a team that represents maybe the pinnacle of soccer and its artistry and beauty and everything samba that you would love about it. And then you have this league that's just an absolute tragedy. And then now they're doing this about only firing a coach once a year because they're horribly corrupt and they just fire guys all over the place. And like, I'm not going to bore everybody to tears, but the more I read about the book and the ex-players in the game and the stories that are in it, it just makes you think like, wow, that 1970 Brazilian icon is dealing with this now 20 years afterwards. It's unbelievable, the contrast and peaks and valleys of it to me. So without getting my tangent any further boring, how do you take it serious? it's
Yeah.
so hard to take it serious.
Yeah, I'll whip this, Jay, a whole new concept, because we've talked about this, the firings too soon. And it's like, if you're that person hiring the coach, it's on you as much as anybody for picking this person. So could there be, like, I like this, sacking one coach in a season, but I want to take it further, like where if you offer a coach, could this ever happen? Or, it's one of these, like, can it happen? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but either one of you talk on this. When you hire a coach, you sign him to a 3-year contract, you can't fire him. He's got to play out what you signed him to.
That's tough. I don't know. I remember seeing a documentary. It was like, I don't know if it was Blackburn or something. It was just like a documentary where they brought in this, I think to be fair, they brought in a chairman. So I'm going to screw up myself right now, but like, and he cocked it up and he was firing and hiring coaches. Yeah, maybe. You know what? I think a year is reasonable, if not 2, because a year you need a year to kind of like assess what's going on, and then you need another year to try and instill your own game model and your philosophy and the culture. 1 year. I'm sure there's stories about like 6 months. I don't know, Steve, in that book, like coaches there for like,
sure.
Yeah.
Like how like what,
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So Steve, I'll throw it to you. Like, if you follow my model of, like, if I sign Frank Blanche, that's a really good name, by the way.
It's an amazing name.
And like, and the rule is I got to hire him for 3-4 years. If I can sign him to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But as a coach, like what Jay was alluding to, how can you, as a coach, let's say in Brazil or anywhere for that matter now, you're not going to play young 17-year-old Smith to develop him. You want to buy like a 30-year-old established left back to win, or you're gone. And that's where we're at.
What's the question?
The question is, would you like that long-term guaranteed coach in place?
I think like my initial reaction is like, Jay, like, I don't know if you can. Like, it feels like I don't know, almost like too specific or unhuman rights or something. Like if that even makes sense. 1 year, I think, is like, it sounds reasonable, but like now it's like 3-4 years you've put someone in there, and like, what if the guy turns into a psychopath or something, like, and you have no out because you put him on a 3-year contract? Like, it's such.
What are the average contracts? Like, they're 7 years or 5 to 7 years, aren't they? Like, that's why they continue.
Average contracts like 3, gotta be 3. Yeah.
2 to 3 years.
I would love to know that, because weren't they? I thought it was too long.
No
too long.
No, 3. It's got to be 2 or 3.
It's 2 or 3.
How long is Klopp's? How long is Klopp's?
Different. The guy won the Champions League. Like, you can't put.
No. Before when he came in.
Probably a 3. Yeah.
It was 3.
Yeah.
It was 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't ask for more than 3. Klopp is top of the world basically, and if he can only get 3, what do you? You know what I mean?
Well, even Pep, he had 3, just resigned.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this, like, it's hard. It's hard. It's like a thankless job.
Hold on. Sandy Mackey was the coach of Carlton for 25,000 years.
Yeah, well, Carlton and BDL and Premier League is different.
I know. I'm just saying, but okay, let's divide. Let's do some division here, and let's use like some ratios here, and like, because 25 years at a university, I think the university culture is crazy that way. Like, no one.
But don't forget, Jay, Brock, coach, was there 26 years and won nationals in his 26th year or something like that.
I know. I couldn't believe it. Bill Miller, and I was there with them. Yeah, like, lovely guy, and he helped me with my coaching and understanding of it. But he would even say 27 years. I don't, like, what? 27 years at a place? I'm sorry. Like, if you're putting in everything you have, I don't even think you could last 27 years. How is that possible? Why
Alex Ferguson did it 20 plus years?
He's an anomaly, though. Anomaly. You're talking anomalies.
Well,
why
not?
Like Carlton,
wasn't Wenger there?
Yeah, like 12.
Wenger was there.
That's two. Think of all the managers in the world and how long they stayed.
Yeah.
Well, that's an anomaly. And so,
but if you're good enough,
of course. Yeah. But Sandy wasn't. He 25 years there. You guys didn't win anything. So
No,
why
but how many university coaches win? How many different university coaches have won out of all the university coaches that coach? How many have a national title?
What do you consider a win? The winning provincial?
National title. National title is the only thing that matters.
I would consider winning provincial winning, and then getting to nationals by winning provincials, by winning the games to win it, to get there, to win.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, if the biggest prize is the biggest prize, that's what you're going for.
Okay, so how many nationals? I don't know who's won the most. I don't know. It's got to be someone in BC.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but it's just my point. Is like, if like now you're going on like if Premier League managers, how many have won the Premier League? It's like probably not many. Doesn't mean they should all kind of.
But a success is a winning season, I would say. And for the Premier League, for university, I would say getting to nationals regularly and producing top players, still like continuing that. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. University, if you're a university coach at a big school, you got to get to nationals like at least 3 times out of 5 years, at least. Yeah, 100%.
Challenge is on, Kwesi.
He'll do it.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I said he'll do it.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. I think so. That brings up something that bothers me, but it'll be for another day. Maybe I'll bring it. Can Ottawa U get a team already? Can we talk about this?
Yes.
Is it such a big school? Like, can they get a team already?
It's a weird myth. Like, why don't they have a team? And it's like, oh, because they don't have enough money from the men's football program. But it's like, do they play in they play in like a second division university league, right? Like against like bishops and stuff like that or something.
I think it's just like a club. It's called a club. I don't know, Steve, do you know? It's a club league, right?
It's like a second division. Jay's right. They were club at one point, and they play against like Sage Eps and stuff like that. But it's like it's a league, but it's not. That makes any sense. Like they're playing against some other schools. Yeah, I think they've won it the last couple of years.
Yeah. So here's.
Yeah. Okay.
No, go ahead, Jay. I just want to ask, I'm going to stay on this trophy thing that I've had an argument with some friends about. Would you rather your team, Liverpool, let's just say Liverpool since it's both your teams, would you rather they finish 17th in the league, they stay up, and so they finish 17th and win the FA Cup, or they finish 4th but no cup?
4th and no cup. The FA Cup to me is meaningless. 0. I don't care about it at all.
That's a tough question for me. Like if they're going to come 9th and win the Champions League this year, I'm pretty happy.
No, he said FA Cup. If they Champions League is a different story. It's
tough because, yeah, we're weighting the trophies, which is like what Jay's getting at, and he's right. Like if it's the FA Cup, yeah, you know what? I'll take the FA Cup and 17th because it's Liverpool and they should be winning trophies. So what's 4th place? Big deal. They've been 4th for the last like 16 years until they won the trophy. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm over it. So for me, yeah, it's the FA Cup.
But then you're not in Champions League next year.
Yeah, then they'll have to win it the year after.
Oh my God, that'd be painful.
But like, why? Like they've been in the Champions League for a ton of years, and they've been out of the Champions League for 2 or 3 years. Like, I'd rather have a trophy. Like, I don't want to be Like what? So I could go play in a friendly round robin Champions League games against Anderlecht or something? Like, I don't know. Maybe because it's Liverpool, I'm over it. Like, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know what you're getting at. So I want to answer what you're getting at.
He's like making us fight.
Yeah. If it's Liverpool, I want trophies because they're a club that should win trophies. Jay's point is solid, and I can't argue against it. They're also a club that needs to be in the Champions League because financially nowadays you need the money. But like, how many years have Liverpool been in the Champions League and got knocked out in the quarters of the group or the whatever, and like didn't win anything? Like they didn't win anything for like 10 years. Like I want them to win something. If I'm like Newcastle, fuck no. Same thing for Newcastle. Newcastle haven't won a trophy for 50 years. I want a friggin' FA Cup. I want a League Cup. I want a Community Shield. I want a like Vauxhall Conference Cup. Like I want something that's a trophy. They haven't won a trophy in like over 50 years. The club gets like 60,000 a week.
Yeah, that's where pretty much I'm going. It's simply just I find that winning a trophy is something so like you can say like the early rounds, play the reserves, we got, but then when you get to that final, winning something is it's so huge, and like fourth place has become this weird trophy of its own.
Yeah, stupid.
But then you fall into that.
But what did you win in
Arsenal.
fourth place? What did you win in fourth place? Like,
Yeah,
that's I'm
money
telling you, we were
for the owners.
I was a Liverpool fan forever, like, or I still am. Like, but all those years they come fourth, and who cares?
Yeah,
but they won Champions League 2005 when they're like went doing well in the league, right?
100%. Like, I can't argue against that at all.
Yeah.
And
I know it's one off.
No, it got us into a trophy position, and we won the trophy.
Yes.
But I'm happy because we won the trophy. So
yeah,
we got in because we qualified coming fourth. But I guess if you're comparing it, like Mark's trying to compare it one for one, I go with the trophy. Like, I just want to win stuff.
Yeah. If you're like pouring milk, okay, and like you're at the you've now finished either your cereal or your tea, you have enough milk. You have like half a centimeter of milk left in the bag.
so good.
Do you put it back in the fridge, or do you just pour it down the sink and put it in a new bag?
Pour it down the sink. What are
There's
you?
no way Steve's pouring that down the sink.
What are you, like a prince?
You guys look.
You're a prince and a princess at the same time. You're like, I don't need this milk. Why are you wasting the milk for, stupid?
So what are you going to do with it?
I put a little more in my coffee or tea, unless it's like
right at the rim. You can't. It doesn't fit.
Then I suck it back. I suck it back myself. It's milk.
From the bag?
Yeah, or I put it in a tiny cup, Mark, to please you with a straw, and I suck it back. But I don't put it down the sink.
There's no way you go and fetch a cup.
No, I don't.
Or half a centimeter.
I take it out of the bag 100%. That's exactly what I do. 100%.
You replace it?
Yeah, you always replace it. Don't be that person. Don't put it back. I hate it. I go back. My son every night puts about like 14 gallons of milk in a cereal. Like, he gets a bowl that's bigger than his body and puts a full 2 liters of milk in it. And every morning I come down and it's empty in the fridge. I want to murder him.
Yeah.
Murder him.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that.
The worst is then there's like a Cheerio trail that goes from the pantry to the kitchen, back up the stairs into his room. It's like a bunny from Easter came to like tell us where he went.
I love it.
That is amazing.
Do you
angry?
Go ahead, Mark.
What do you do? And again, this is an interesting one for me because I have my life and you have your life. What do you do with the little tip that you cut off?
Oh, I'm gonna kill you with this.
Yes, no, he did. He's gonna murder you with this, Mark, and it's changed my life. I never have forgotten about this, and it's changed my life forever. Go ahead, Steve. Go, Steve.
First of all, I've always been good at disposing it, just to give myself the pat on the back. But my wife works at Chio, and the number one choking hazard in the world is the little thing from the milk bag. You have to get rid of it. You can't hear that and not get rid of it.
Yeah, no, it's. I knew that stat, and that's kind of where it came from. It's insane.
How did you know that? How did you know that stat?
Oh, I don't know. Just looked at or heard it from a what's that?
I feel like
Twitter facts or Uber facts or whatever.
That's the craziest fact. I remember that haunting me when Steve's wife Lisa said it. I was like, no. And like when we used to cut them, just like put them furthest into the bag and like cut them up in 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, no, it's true. But what do you do now that your kids are older? Are you still just you walk to the garbage, put it in the garbage, or do you just do like me and like hide it under the bread or something?
I'm gonna
under the bread. What kind of person are you?
I'm gonna put you inside my brain for a day. This happened this week. We don't drink milk anymore, so we drink almond milk. But my son Luca wanted to make pancakes, and he wanted the real milk. So he went to Nona's house. She gave him 3 bags full of milk, knowing that I don't want to drink that stuff ever again in my life. And in the family, we get sick. Like people in our family get sick when they drink it, lactose, whatever. She said, no, I made him take it back. No, she said, keep it because she wants the kids to drink it. She thinks it makes them healthy. So I cut them all open and put them down the toilet because I didn't want to lose the war.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
No, you lost the battle and won the war.
Thank you.
Yeah, you.
I mean,
It's like I gave you a reward there. It's like I gave you a purple cross. That's how happy you were.
That's
That- I-
super
Isn't that
interesting.
amazing?
You know
Okay,
what
now
I
when
wanna
you
ask?
yeah, I got to find out if when you cut the bags, did you cut the whole top off or did you cut just the tip and like pour it out?
Do you know that I cut a big part of it because I didn't want to stay there forever because then it would. I feel like I would have lost.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
she
would have lost at that
taking
point.
me forever, and it would have been like so anticlimactic and me just sitting there and like it just like sort of dolloping out of the bag.
I also want to know, because before the story, Mark said, do you walk all the way over to the garbage? How far is your garbage from where you get your milk? Like, what
Yes,
do you,
that's
is
a
it an
great
outhouse
question.
or something? Do you walk all the way over to the garbage or hide it under the bread? Like, my bread's here and my garbage is here. It's like right there.
It's half a step for
Yeah,
sure. It's half a
exactly.
step.
What do you mean
Sometimes I
hide
hi-
it under the
some-
bread?
Sometimes I put it, you know, like you have those knife holder things, and when I
Yeah.
pull my scissors out, I put it in the scissor hole and then put the
No.
scissors back.
That's such a
Oh
kid
my
thing to do. You
God.
put your gum
Yeah.
underneath it too?
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
I can't, I don't know. I feel like I just don't like that little piece of plastic. It bothers me.
Yeah, put in the garbage.
It's too good for the garbage. Garbage is too good for that. It needs to be punished.
You are a special human being. Oh my god!
Aaron is such like I feel so bad for her. There's probably gum underneath like his like couch right along where he sits to watch TV. Probably all these gum underneath it. Oh.
I love it.
Oh my
All right.
God.
Well, that's that for me. I'm starving to death. What are you having for dinner? Do you know?
No idea. Probably leftovers, which I really like.
I'm a big leftover fan too.
It marinates in the its own filth, and I love it.
What's the only food you can't eat as a leftover? Mine is pizza. I hate leftover pizza.
Are you crazy? It's so good.
No, only pizza for me.
Day just 1 day later, not 2 days. 1 day.
No, like the day I buy it, once it enters the fridge, I'm done with it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
What about KFC in the day, back in the day?
Oh,
So
KFC. I could grab that first thing in the morning out of the fridge, no heat up, cold, right in my mouth.
100%.
And you're
So good.
excited about it.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say KD next day is
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Amazing call.
You know what? It's true. Like my mom saves everything and she's like, here's KD from yesterday. And it's
Oh
like
my
it
God.
spills out like brains at you. It's like
It's so
makes me
true.
Anything where you have to like add liquid to it the next day, like
Yeah.
KD, like you have to put like little milk or even pasta like the next day. It's like dry and
Yeah,
know.
you'd have to put some olive oil. Like it takes a lot of work. Yeah.
yeah, good call.
What have
Anyway.
we done?
where are we?